So what we're trying to do is brainstorm a way to talk about language, because I think a lot of the time we talk about language, but what does that word even mean when we're talking about the little people or the larger people that we work with here in the clinic? What is a language disorder? We've been using that word a lot lately, but what does it mean? I guess the kids that we see, we're trying to sort of frame a way to talk about some of the challenges that they face, to raise a little bit of awareness of what a developmental language disorder might look like, and to start to demystify it as well, because they are incredibly common. So some of the current research says 1 in 14, 2 in every classroom, are kids who might have difficulties with understanding or expressing their language in some way. And so we're trying to do a bit of a brainstorm of, well, what are some of those really common things that we see across kids with a developmental language disorder? Lauren and I have come up with understanding, so we've got instructions and stories, processing, so we're talking about what is the information going in, understanding new vocab, learning new vocabulary in the classroom. I've seen this impact learning friends' names for kids that I work with, and that's got huge social impacts, doesn't it? Being able to listen in a conversation. This one's particularly important, I think, for girls. I've seen a lot of girls in the clinic who can't keep up with the pace of the conversation because their comprehension and their understanding is not quite fast enough to be able to match the speed at which the conversation and the topics change, and this can be really, really hard for little girls at school. We normally see that kick in about sort of year 2, year 3. We also use our language for thinking, so in that comprehension side of things, our critical thought, problem solving, organizing, and even for regulating our emotions as well. I guess from that, sometimes some of the reasons kids get referred to us would be actually around their behavior. These are kids who maybe in the classroom look like they're not following the rules, or they're breaking the rules, or they can't, organize and keep their body still. Maybe they can't, if they're not organizing well, maybe they can't complete their tasks very nicely, or don't know how to break down a task, can't get started. All of these skills rely on language, and that's just part of the comprehension side of it. If we look at expression, so what are our kids saying to not just their individual peers, but if they're in a group or if they're talking to their teacher as well, what are the skills that they need to be able to express? And that would be things like constructing our sentences. How good's my handwriting? And then using those sentences of increasing complexity and different length and different style of sentences and grammar to explain, to persuade, to negotiate. And all of these skills, again, are linking back in with, we need that in our conversations to be able to share our stories, explain our ideas, and do that in a way that's coherent, efficient, makes sense, gets the point across nice and quickly. We also in here, one of the things I've forgotten up here is understanding questions. And then that links with the expressive side of being able to make the sentence that matches the answer that you need. Within the peer-to-peer or these relationships here, we've got all of that social aspects of language, which is how we use our language. Can we take turns in a conversation? Can we stay on topic with people? Can we listen to what our friends are saying and respond appropriately? Can we generate things to say to our friends? What else have I forgotten, Lauren? Reading and writing. So then as kids start to develop their language skills, they need to be able to listen to what their teacher is saying about the alphabet and about how our language skills interact with this written code that the teachers teach us to develop that strong literacy that we need. So then these kids need to sit down at their little desk. I don't know what kind of chair that is. And they need to be able to read and write, which is a language skill. It's just overlaid or mapped onto a written code. So then we look at how all of these levels of understanding and expression map onto our reading and our writing. Can children access the code? Do they have the phonological processing and the sound abilities to be able to listen to what the teacher's saying and learn that code? And then secondary to that, can they use their written language to express the same ideas nice complex ideas? Can we write stories? Can we write persuasive text? Can we read somebody's ideas and then think critically about it and come back to our problem solving and our language? Can we learn new vocab from our reading, which is a really essential skill? As we get through the grades, we see the types of kids we see present differently. You know, in primary school we start to see a little bit of behaviour coming through, a little bit of anxiety, lots of kids that are frustrated because they don't have this strong background in oral language skills that they need to be able to access the academic language and the reading and writing that they need to be able to show their skills at school. So as speech pathologists, what we want to do is do early intervention where we can, to work on some of these areas, and I'm not going to pretend that this is all of them, I'm sure I've missed some, but looking at what is the impact of these language difficulties on the children in their environments at school, at home, in the park with their friends. How are they using their language across their environments, and what can we do to help break down some of the barriers that difficulties in this area can make and help them achieve success across their environments.